Bill Gates, you may like him or not, he is the co-founder of Microsoft and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and one of the richest people in the world, known for his vision and wisdom. Today, I don't want to touch any of the conspiracy theories about him, and it's not my topic, nor his popular squabble with Elon Musk. Today, I want to talk about the advice this legendary man has given, which may help many find their way to success. Don't compare yourself with anyone in this world. If you do so, you are insulting yourself. Gates' words. In the modern world, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself with others, on social network platforms in particular. They reaffirm this tendency and can unfortunately lead to a vicious cycle of insecurity, anxiety, and vulnerability when we compare ourselves to others. You know, we often forget that we're just looking at highlights of somebody's life, not knowing the full picture. We follow famous bloggers, see the pretty picture, and want our life to be the same way. We see expensive cars of celebrities and want a cool car too. As a result, we set up unrealistic expectations and start chasing a pipe dream that doesn't represent our passions, values, and strengths. It seems to us as if successful people always win and never fail. You can name certain people yourself who've been successful and now don't get out of court for not paying taxes. This quote by Bill Gates reminds us about the importance of accepting and acknowledging our individuality. Each of us has unique talents, experience, and prospects that shape who we basically are. Instead of seeking some sort of validation from external sources, Gates summons us to become aware of our uniqueness and focus on personal growth and development. Every person has their own set of traits, experience, and possibilities making up their life. Comparing yourself to others makes you dismiss those, which may lead to an inaccurate and unfair comparison. Many of us already know that Joanne Rowling, author of the Harry Potter book series, went through a bunch of rejections before being published. Had she compared herself at that moment with the world-renowned writers and decided she could never become one, we would never have a magical world of a little wizard. Good thing that she found the power of will to keep pushing and got what she really wanted. Comparisons are often based on external factors such as wealth. Problem is that this one aspect doesn't give you the full picture. Vincent van Gogh, one of the most famous painters in history, had only sold one painting while he was alive. Comparing with him based on financial status alone would mean to ignore his artistic achievements and the influence he had on the world of art. Also remember that the very definition of success is different to different people. Decide what success is for you and pursue it on your own terms, not someone else's. Next quote: "It's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important to heed the lessons of failure." Success is not an all-or-nothing affair that makes us think of everything that is not success as failure. Unfortunately, this conviction makes us fear failure and kills our desire to try. A closer look at success can liberate us from this fear and give us an ability to take risks and achieve our goals with a wider perspective. Gates himself had plenty of failures. In 2019, on the Village Global Forum dedicated to startups and investment, Bill Gates admitted that the biggest mistake in his career was Microsoft letting Google launch their Android OS. As he himself said, the greatest mistake ever is whatever management I engaged in that caused Microsoft not to be what Android is. The entrepreneur also said that he blames himself for missed opportunities which allowed Android to become Apple's main competitor and take $400 billion market share. Interestingly, part of the responsibility for that is Gates' love for Porsche cars. Gates had ordered a car in 1986, but a year later it was confiscated due to a lack of papers. For 13 years, Gates' lawyers had been fighting in courts against state government, expending the best team members. They were so preoccupied with the process that in the late 90s and early 2000s they had no energy for developing a mobile OS. Third quote, "If you were born poor, it's not your mistake, but if you die poor, it is your mistake." Being born into poverty, going through financial struggle, or disadvantageous social status are not something you really choose when you start your life. But the second part of Bill's quote carries a transformative message about taking responsibility for one's own life and choices. While the circumstances given at birth may be difficult, the trajectory of a person's life can be affected by the decisions made along the way. Assuming personal responsibility gives people the opportunity to get their life under control, to break out of the vicious cycle of poverty and use the chances to grow and success. Andrew Carnegie, a Scottish-American industrialist and philanthropist, had humble beginnings. He was born in a poor family in Scotland, then later emigrated to the US. With his work in the steel industry, he made enormous fortune, becoming one of the richest people in history. Despite his wealth, he had spent a significant amount of his wealth to philanthropy, financing libraries, universities and other educational institutions. And here's another example of how a person can really change their fate. Ralph Lauren, a designer known for his famous polo brand. He grew up in a working-class family in Bronx, New York. Despite lacking a formal education in design, Lauren started his career in the fashion industry selling ties, and eventually expanded his brand with clothes, accessories, and home decor. Today, he's the fashion industry's icon, having built a multi-billion-dollar empire. Fourth quote, "Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they cannot lose." People interpret this quote in different ways. Some think here Gates talk about the way success may negatively affect our mental health and state of mind. When we achieve our big goals and dreams, we experience a thrilling sense of fulfillment. But being realistic, we have to admit that success can lull the diligence of even the smartest people, instilling them with a false sense of security and making them believe that they're unbeatable and it will always be like that. Feels cool, yeah. That's when we become filled with the complacency, hampering our growth, obstructing our path to new achievements. To avoid the trap of self-satisfaction, successful businessmen develop a mindset for growth. It allows them to be open to new ideas and encourages calculated risk for creativity and innovation. They remain down to earth and looking for feedback from their colleagues, mentors, and clients. So, well, listen to Bill Gates' advice and stop thinking that you cannot lose. Be humble. Listen to and always learn from others. That's a good strategy for your own success. Of course, some of you may view this quote from another side. Looking back at other people's success, we may mistakenly start thinking that they have always been that way and be afraid to make mistakes. But the secret is precisely in making mistakes, learning from them and getting better. Many of us know Sylvester Stallone from his roles as Rocky and Rambo. But now, few people know that he had serious health issues which strongly interfered with his acting career. Particularly, he had Bell's palsy, a facial paralysis also influencing speech. In the early 70s, Stallone ventured into the acting career but faced constant rejection. He tried his very best to find roles but was often declined in auditions for his unorthodox, unconventional appearance and speech impediment. Stallone was not given up and started to write scripts. In 1976, he wrote the screenplay for Rocky about a journeyman boxer. Stallone was committed to playing the main role, even though back then he was an unknown actor. Studios liked the script but insisted on looking for someone more famous for the main role. Stallone stood his ground and managed to convince the producers to give him a chance at starring in the movie. Stallone's initial difficulties served as an inspiration for beginner actors lately. This story emphasizes the importance of vitality, determination, and believing in yourself. Despite the rejection and rebuff, Stallone's commitment to his craft and his iconic portrayal of Rocky Balboa had allowed him to become one of the most recognized and respected figures in the film industry.